So just to let everyone know, we are recording this session so that we can share it with our UAC family who hasn't gotten to join us this evening. And let me go ahead and share my screen. So I'm Gabrielle Brooks, and I am the Communications and Development Manager for UAC. And we are here with local artist Larry Walker, and this is our first iteration of our Movable Collection Artist Talk series that will be happening every Thursday this month from 5:30 to 6:30. And so I am so excited to kick it off this evening with Larry, who we have been in communication for the past month, just trying to set this up. And so we are so excited to be in conversation. And I joined UAC back last October. And so I have not, I think, Larry, did we meet in person at the artist happy hour? Were you able to come out to that?
No, I wasn't able to make that.
Okay, so that's what I thought. We have only met virtually, and it's been a pleasure to talk to you so far. And so I will start us
off. Same here.
So Larry is an artist who is a part of our Movable Collection. And so if you're not familiar with our Movable Collection, it was a program established by us to manage the city's collection of local art. And so it's displayed on a rotating basis within community accessible spaces like our libraries, our universities, City Hall, the airport, and various park facilities. And so you can see here some pictures that were provided by our wonderful project manager, Brett Hanover, who cannot be with us this evening. But he provided these lovely photos that show some of the installations of the work thus far in some of our libraries. And so we have pieces from Anthony Massey and Jana Wilson. Bobby Spillman did this lovely boxing bear. I'm not sure if you can see the particulars, the details, but again, if you would like to check out all of the pieces that are currently in our Movable Collection, you can visit our website, uacmem.com.org, org, and that will take you, you'll be able to navigate and find our Movable Collection. And then we have this lovely piece by Meredith Ollinger. And we have a piece here, our featured piece this evening from Larry Walker. You can see on the left is installed at the North Branch of our library, as well as these other two pieces by Paula Kovaric and Annabelle Meacham. And so that brings us to our first question this evening, our artist introduction with Larry Walker. He is an art educator and a master portrait artist who grew up in North Memphis and attended Northside High School. And so, Larry, we're just going to have you tell us a little bit about your Memphis roots. You were telling me that you qualify yourself as a little bit of an introvert, but that when you start to talk about your personal stories, that you just, have a lot to share with us. So I can't wait to hear about your Memphis roots and telling us about, your ties to this community, this city.
Well, I grew up initially in what is called the New Chicago area of Memphis. That's still North Memphis. And I went to Chicago Park School and went to Manassas. But I don't think my real, trigger for art happened until I was at Humes Junior High when I was in the 9th grade. And so, I don't know, you probably was, most people were probably more of an artist back then than I was. And it's hard for people to believe this, but I was more like a teacher's pet. I loved the art class. I loved the artist that was in the class. I passed out paper, I passed out pencils, but I wouldn't draw because I didn't think I was that good at it. And these other guys and girls were really good at it. And so I was more or less like their cheerleader. And so it wasn't until the teacher when I was in the ninth grade, said that there was going to be a bookmarker contest and that she wanted everybody to enter the bookmarker contest. So of course, I had no intentions of entering because I didn't perceive myself as an artist and that I could do anything like that. And all these other people were already much, much ahead of me. So I was sort of encouraging them to enter. Yeah, man, you're really good. You ought to put something in later. The teacher said, enter something. I'm going to bring your grade up one letter. Now, I don't know how she managed to figure that out, but all I knew was I always got a C in the class. And so in my mind, I was thinking, if I get a B, that's going to make me look like an artist, even though I knew I wasn't. So I actually buckled down and drew a piece and entered it into the contest. Well, a really weird thing happened. I won one of those places. What place, just as a curiosity, what place you think I won?
Well, I don't want to give it up because I read a little bit about.
Oh, yeah, I read.
So I won't share my guess.
Well, you can't guess then. Well, I won third place. Now, I don't know if you're like me, because I was excited about winning it because I never won anything in my life. And so I remember exactly what it was. I won a ribbon and a Three Musketeer candy bar. And so now I don't know if your friends are like mine, but they got tired of me talking about this ribbon and candy bar that I had won. So I walked around with the candy bar as if it was a trophy, and I put the ribbon around my neck like it was a medallion. So I mean, I was just really excited. So for something happened in the ninth grade. My belief that I could do something changed. And so, can you still see me?
I can still see you. It's breaking up a little bit, but I can hear you.
Okay. Somebody tried to call in and it
And it messed it up.
They said, look, we tired of hearing about this ribbon and candy bar you won because we know, and we know you know, only 3 people entered. Well, for me, it didn't matter that only people entered. In my mind, I felt like they didn't have to give me the ribbon and candy bar, but they did. And since that was the first thing I'd ever worn in my life, it just made me want to do it more. And so from that point to, I just say, years and years in art school, I seemed like I just could not get enough of drawing and painting. So I drew every day from that point on, every day. I don't think I missed a day. And I wasn't trying to like, oh, I'm going to be a great artist. I just love doing it. And so that's kind of where I am now.
Wow. That's such a good story. I think it really speaks to that imposter syndrome that we have of feeling like, oh, I'm not good at this, or I'm not good enough to achieve this, or looking at other people's art and saying, or whatever it is that they're creating or doing and thinking, okay, wow, they're amazing. You know, like I'll never be as talented as them, but it takes that one spark to start, I think, and just practicing and keeping at it, finding that thing that you love. And so it took you all the way to these images that we have here of you know, going beyond drawing. You're painting, you're doing portraits that are featured in some very prominent spaces. Would you like to tell us a little bit about the images here?
Well, yeah. I did, well, let me talk about the piece that's at North Branch Library that's part of the Movable Collection. The title of it is Read and Dream. Now, when I paint paintings, in my mind, I'm always thinking a painting should tell a story. So if you look at that painting, it's as if it's part of a story. The title of it even sounds like a story or a movie.
Mm-hmm.
I have a piece that's called Thirst for Life. It's an old man drinking water that's coming out of, I don't know what it was coming out, just water coming down, pushing down, and his hands are there, head down, and he's just getting just as much of that little water as he can. And so those are the kind of things I like to do. It's like the story you just heard about my life as a young artist. And so for several years, I guess before the pandemic hit, but before then, I was like maybe every 2 years I would be at a community center.
Mm-hmm.
And I was sort of like an artist in residence. The city wasn't paying me to do it, but it was my way of giving back, because when I was a kid, I didn't know anybody who was a professional artist that did it for a living. So I wanted people in the community, especially the young people, to be able to see and talk to a professional artist, someone who actually does it for a living. And so I started at Gaston Community Center, and then I eventually went over to Whitehaven Community Center, and then finally I was at Katy Sexton Community Center before the pandemic hit, and then that's when everything kind of shifted.
So are you still working out of the community center right now, or did you have to?
No.
Okay.
Well, when the pandemic hit and community centers closed down, I actually just rented a space that was in what they call it, a storage unit that had climate control. And I know that sounds odd, but I found there was a lot of people who had offices in there because it was climate control. And so, but I had this product that I had been working on for about 10 years. And so we started bringing the product in there once we started manufacturing it. And then it got to a point it was too crowded in that little space. And so we end up securing a warehouse space here over on Directors Row. Mm-hmm. And so now we're here, and I do my art out of this space. And so if I guess I could bore you and walk you through it, but but anyway.
No, but I'm looking for a picture of that piece that you were talking about. I know that I had it in the PowerPoint somewhere, so that's what I'm searching for. But no, I think that I read that you were doing some work specifically within one of the community centers that you had just finished.
Oh yeah, that was at Mitchell Community Center. I was one of 7 artists that was selected to do a mural in one of the 7 districts. And so we were given an opportunity to go to Philadelphia to see how I'm going to use the term, the masters do it. Mm-hmm. They're like the mural capital of the world. And, when I was there, I saw some really, really great murals, but I was like, man, we could do this, And so, because we really had some talented artists that went on the trip, we just learned some techniques and some things that they were doing to be able to create large scale murals. Mm-hmm. And that was really a great adventure for us. So anyway, when we came back, each of us had a different area of Memphis, a different district to create a mural. And so I was fortunate to have the Mitchell Community Center, which some people, of course, calls that the Walker Home area. Mm-hmm. And so I met with quite a few people in that area. We talked about the history of the community. And, as you know, I like to tell a story. And so as they kind of told me about some of the things that was going on in the community, I was like, man, I need to make a movie out of this. I mean, it was so interesting. And they told me about some things that I didn't even know about as far as that community. And being that community is part of Memphis, it was just amazing, the things that I heard about T.O. Fuller and Joseph Walker. And many people don't know, but Joseph Walker's son took over the company of Universal Life Insurance Company. And I was commissioned by the stockholders of Universal Life Insurance Company when I was a very young artist, just coming out of art school, to paint a portrait. And I was asked by Larry Shaw, who was sort of my mentor. But anyway, I did the portrait for them. And the interesting thing about it was that after doing the portrait, I remember thinking, oh, wow, I'm rich. Of course, I had never gotten thousands of dollars for a painting before. So that was just amazing to me that people would pay that for a painting. And of course, like I say, I'm a young artist just coming out of art school. And so I remember Larry Shaw calling me up one day saying, Mr. Amacio Walker has left something here for you. And so I said, oh, well, what is it? He said, you got to come down and pick it up. And so I came down to his office, and when they handed me an envelope. So I opened the envelope, and there's a check for $500.
Wow.
And all I could think of was, did nobody tell him that they paid me for this painting? So and the guy, Larry Shaw, said, of course, he know he paid you for the painting. That's his way of saying thank you for doing a great job. And so that was the first time I ever got a tip too. So,
yeah.
So anyway, that was just, those were just great times in my career as an artist.
Well, I think we've covered then a little bit of my next question. What inspired you to become an artist? We talked about that in your story. And so I think we can skip ahead. Let me go back to those previous pictures that were taken by Andrea Morales for the High Ground News article that came out a few years ago about you, that I learned what place you made in that contest through that first interview. And let's see if I can go back. And so she took these lovely photos of you in your studio and some of the ways that you work as far as creating your portrait images. And so if you want to speak to that at all.
Okay.
And
well, you can see, I guess, the photos of A.C. Warden, former Mayor A.C. Warden. And of course, as I said, I like to tell a story. And so the story with him was that he was not just the mayor of Memphis. He was the first elected African-American mayor of Shelby County. And so, of course, a lot of people focused on Dr. Harrington because he was the city mayor, first elected city mayor that was African-American. But AC did something I thought was significant as well, being that he was the first Shelby County mayor that was African-American. He was the first to ever be the mayor of two entities, the county, and then became mayor of the city of Memphis. And so in that, I showed two buildings that reflected the city and the county. And so that's why I say I like to tell a story in my paintings. And sometimes people don't, you just see the painting and you just think, oh, that's just a nice painting.
Yeah.
But if you look very deep into it and start understanding why those elements are in there, then you'll understand, oh, he's telling another story. And that I mentioned Dr. Harrington, when and sometimes people ask me, why did he pick you out of all the artists? I used to wonder that myself, but I, I think it was mainly because there were a lot of artists during that time that were asking him about, Doc, you're going to let me do your portrait? You're going to let me do your portrait? And so, of course, I was one of those two. But something occurred to me one day, and I said to him, I said, Doc, I saw him on the Mid-America Mall one day, and I said, Doc, you have the ability to create history twice. He looked at me and said, how is that? I said, well, first of all, there's never been an African-American artist to have a portrait hanging in the Hall of Mayors. And you have the ability to make that happen. So one Sunday evening, my wife and I was riding around, and I got a call from Gail Carson. And Gail said, expect a call from Dr. Harrington. And I'm like, okay. And so Doc called me and said, Larry, this is Mayor Harrington. I said, yes, sir. He said, well, they asked me, who did I want to paint my portrait? And you came to mind. And I said, I didn't want anybody else to do it but Larry Walker. And so that was a great honor for me. So of course, for me, that was a lot of pressure on me too, to be the artist to do that.
Yeah.
But of course, doing the kind of work that I do, I want to tell a story. And so in the painting, if you ever go down to City Hall and you look at that painting, you're going to notice there's a small picture, because he was sitting on his desk, but there's a small black and white picture that's actually not on his desk in real life during that time. But I thought it would be great to show a man with a black and white picture of showing him from Lemoyne Garden, and now he is the mayor of the city. And so it was reflecting his past and showing him in his present moment. And I just thought that was a great history story, just looking at that photo of him actually in Lemoyne Garden and then becoming the mayor of the city and seeing those seals, the city seals behind it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, that's
what a great full circle story. No, I think it just really speaks to the fact that I think for me, I'm also just I think of myself as a hobby artist, photographer, and just working to get better at my craft, studying people and hearing how you place your compositions, how you've really thought it through, and you're wanting to show these historical elements and tell these stories. And it's so inspiring to hear that you've put so much thought and so much detail into these portraits, and you breathe life into them. And hearing you effectively sell yourself to get that commission is also inspiring, because sometimes we have to do that. People see us and they see our work, and then they see other people's work, and let's say you are not a fine artist enthusiast, you don't know much about how to gauge art, but how it makes you feel. And so I think as an artist, if we can come to people with our story, with our background, and say, I can capture you in this sense. I can make people feel this when I present you in this way, and showcasing the history, and how you said the importance of him getting to make history again by placing you in this space where Black artists had never been before. I just really think that's such an incredible story. And so I thank you for sharing that, because it is so inspirational. And I think artists need to hear that everyone has their own individual way of seeing things, and no one could have painted that portrait exactly the way that you did. And so I'm grateful that you shared that with us. I think, but I have another image of Mayor Willing Harrington, who you did a portrait for him as well. And we have also a picture of a mural that you did at the North Branch Library. That's, you know, the same library in which your piece is housed. So you're in there represented twice in two different formats. How does that feel?
It feels really good. Matter of fact, the manager of the library made a point to let me know we got one of your original pieces right here. I thought that was really nice.
Yeah.
But I was really excited about doing this particular piece because, one, I used to visit that library very often. My kids grew up in that area and we used to visit the library a lot. And so I wanted to, of course, tell a story. So, excuse me. So I won't tell the story on this one because they're going to have an unveiling. And so I would like for everybody to come to the unveiling where we get a chance, where I get a chance to tell you the story behind this painting, this mural painting. And I think you're going to be surprised. And I actually, you know, I like to create almost like trivia games to some degree out of some works that I do. And so this one has history, should I say trivia history. It just has a lot of elements in it that you probably won't recognize just looking at it. But once I start unfolding all the different elements, you're going to say, oh, wow. Oh, wow. You're going to be, oh, wowing.
I see what it looks like. Are these, well, I won't ask too many questions, but it looks like street names. That would be the guess that I have a little bit as.
Right.
As
well, I'll say this. Let me say this.
Mm-hmm.
Looking at the mural, since you don't know what street that I lived on, one of those streets I lived on.
Okay.
And it is something different about the street that I stayed on that's going to be listed on that book than any book that's up there.
Oh, I can't wait to. I'm gonna say.
So you'd have to come to the
really
unveiling, and when I reveal it, you're gonna say, "Oh man." You know.
Oh, well, let us know. You'll definitely have to give us the details for that unveiling so we can post that and let people know too, so that if it's a public unveiling that they can go out and show their support.
Oh, yes.
Even if it's virtual, they need to be logging in so we can hear this story and get these back details. So I'm excited about that. Talking about your portrait of Mayor Willie Harrington, how was that experience? Did you also have to sell yourself a little bit on that, or did he come to you and out first?
Okay, so let me say this because I think I may have shifted and it may have thrown you off. When I did the portrait of AC,
Mm-hmm.
AC, I had already been commissioned to do Dr. Harrington's portrait. Dr. Harrington was the one who called me.
Okay.
He was the one who I told that he had the ability to create history twice. If you look at that portrait in the lower right
I see the
corner,
photograph.
Yeah, the black and white picture, that's him. And I just happened to saw that photograph of him in front of the painting on the internet. And so I just downloaded.
Mm-hmm.
If you notice, I guess he was, I don't know why he did that. I guess it was somebody that he needed to take a picture of, but that looks like, if I'm not mistaken, the same time. He looked like he dressed up intentionally. Because he didn't, that's not the way he looked the day we had the unveiling.
Okay.
Yeah, but that was
you know, he's so stylish. He probably did go back and match it to his portrait.
Yeah, so that was really great. That was really great.
Yeah.
And you know, one thing I can say about him is that he believes in honoring his mom, and he had his mother to pull the drape, the unveiling drape of the portrait along with him. And I thought that said a lot about him as a son.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, these are some really good personal stories. I think Memphis has its own views and perspectives of its past mayors. And so I think hearing the art perspective and the personal perspective behind these stories is a really good way to view them in a different light, outside of the politics. Here's a man who matches his portrait picture when he's going back and taking photos. So I think that's so cool. I would love to commission a portrait one day and be able to go back and match it. I think that would be we need to have some for UAC, our individual portraits done.
Oh, now can you pull up the picture of Read and Dream again?
I can. Let me go back to it.
Okay, so this is a friend of mine named Vicky. Mm-hmm. And so I was doing a portrait of her. I thought she would make a great portrait. Vicky just loved to read. And so it just seemed like, some people just look like they just walk around with a book in their hand all the time. Mm-hmm. And so anyway, this was done at her home. And so originally her eyes were open. But every time there was no photos involved in this. She sat for it all the way through.
Wow.
So every time I would come over, it was like a 2-hour session. And so she would always fall to sleep. And it wasn't until close to the last sessions that I realized I'm doing this painting wrong. I'm not telling the story. The story is not about a person who just reads, mm-hmm. but reads till they fall asleep. And that's when they have dreams. And so I closed her eyes, but I didn't tell her that I was going to close her eyes. So I actually closed her eyes in the painting. And so when she saw it, I guess she was curious, why did I close her eyes? But I said, every day I came, you would fall asleep. And I realized after a while that was the painting that I needed to paint, not you looking at a book reading.
Yeah. No, I love that story. I think that's a question for you too. Are you a reader? Now that you're in this library twice and you've talked a lot about history, and it seems like you are very much into capturing the history of things. Is that one of your favorite genres, or what's your favorite book genre?
Now, let me just say this. I'm probably not as much of a reader as I probably should be, but the books that I love to read are those that are about achieving excellence. Any motivational book, I love them. Even when I'm painting sometimes, if you come to the studio, you're going to hear all these motivational tapes and videos going. I just like to hear positive stuff. I think we're fed with so much negative stuff in our community, and we see so much negative stuff that sometimes you have to just program positive stuff into your brain. And so that's what I do. So if I'm listening to motivational stuff, that's great. If I read a book, it's going to be something Tom Peters, talking about his quest for excellence. I mean, I just like those kind of books. And to be totally frank, I read the book about Donald Trump, The Art of the Deal. I thought it was very positive. I mean, but of course that's an old book, but I just like anything that's inspirational and motivational.
Yeah, I think I too can add to you don't have to feel bad about thinking that you should be more of a reader than you have been. I think I'm constantly saying that, wow, I wish I need to read this, or seeing a book here. yet another one to add to my list of, oh, you should read this. So I am working on that. But I definitely agree with you about uh, the fact that we are fed a lot of negative stories, and we hear so much just sadness and negativity. And I think when you're creating, it is good to flood your space with a lot of positive energy. And I have seen how that is much more inspirational than, hearing something that isn't quite as positive. And so thank you again for um, sharing that reminder. I think to be intentional about what messages we're consuming and what we're listening to, what we're reading, how we view ourselves. I think that you sharing that little insight about closing her eyes and capturing her in the real moment, and not just, oh, here's a beautiful woman reading a book, but here's a beautiful woman who read herself to sleep. And, she's now dreaming these things and having this wonderful, intimate experience with knowledge and with learning. And I think that's a beautiful image to have within a library for children and parents and anybody who comes through to see and have that image resonate with them. I know I was a much bigger reader when I was a child, and I remember sitting there with my mom and her reading stories to me and falling asleep. And so this image, your friend actually very much favors my mom in this image, and so it really it feels good to me, very warm, and I can picture myself here too. So I really do enjoy this piece a lot.
Well,
And the title I get now even more, Read and Dream too. So I love that. I think we talked about your work and what inspired you. And I think we talked a little bit about themes that are crucial to your work. I don't know if you had anything else that you wanted to share, but I didn't want to, I know we're coming here towards the end of our time, which I cannot believe, but I wanted to make sure that we talk a little bit about the fact that Larry has been a part of several programs with UAC, and I'm just, I realized that today as we were going through this PowerPoint that you were a part of the district mural program. You had a Bridging the Distance grant from us this year during COVID, and we're able to get this invention printed off. And so I would love for you to talk a little bit about that before we have to wrap things up here and open up for questions.
all right. Well, one of the things that I've been working on, I guess, for the last 10 years is teaching children how to develop good personal hygiene habits. And I think they need to start at an early age. When I was a kid, I couldn't stand taking baths. It was like my mother trying to pull my teeth. You know? So I don't know. I think most boys, not all, but most boys are kind of like that. They can find a whole lot of stuff to do. And it really, honest, until I got really, really dirty, that I felt like I was deserving of a bath. So anyway, just to talk about this particular product, one of the things that I wanted to do was to get this into the school system, to teach children about developing good personal hygiene habits, but at the same time having fun with it. So I designed this product to look like an artist's palette. It comes with 5 different colors, 3 primary colors, 2 secondary colors, and it has a bath brush. Now it's called Paint Yourself Clean. And the reason is because they can take that brush, go over the colors, and literally paint themselves clean. Mm-hmm. And then, but there's more, as they say. So the bath brush is specially designed by me to actually go where you can dip it into your shampoo. And that's a special shampoo that we have that comes with it. But you can stick it in the shampoo and you can blow bubbles. Regular shampoo is too thick, you can't do that. So we have the only shampoo on the market that can do that. And our shampoo is as mild as a baby shampoo. Mm-hmm. So, but kids really have fun. And the Bridging the Gap grant allowed us to be able to add a activity book that I had been wanting to do as part of it as well. And so it has a printed activity book where kids can really draw, and because it's got like maybe 20 sketch pad in the back of the book, but it also talks about 5 different elements of cleanliness. And I know you're trying to wrap this up, so I'm gonna be quick, but it also has an award element. So when the kid does a great job of painting themselves clean, they get an award medallion that is musical. So it always reminds me of when I was in the 9th grade and I had that ribbon that was around my neck and I felt like it was a medallion and I had it going on. So, so I think kids will really love it. And so far we've been pitching it to school districts, and we have school districts in Kentucky, Georgia, California, and now we just recently got Shelby County Schools on board. So our goal is to get it across the country. And guess what? The Urban Arts Council Commission, the Urban Arts Commission was responsible for, I'm gonna say maybe 50% of the money that it took to bring this product to the market.
Wow.
Well, yeah. So that big hero job I did.
Well, thank you. I feel like, I don't want to take credit for it at all, because Bridging the Distance was started before I joined the UAC team. But I'm gonna say thank you on behalf of UAC that we were able to help bring that to fruition. And it just, again, is a big reminder of why the Bridging the Distance program was so important, and part of our strategic plan of being able to support artists with all the things that you guys do, because you're so multifaceted and so multi-talented. And so we are just so thankful to be a part of all the endeavors that you take on as a Memphis artist, as a Memphis community member, and such a valuable part of so many different aspects of this community. And so I definitely thank you for sharing this with us. And I know that I have a bunch of little cousins who definitely could use some paint yourself clean to help motivate them for bath time, because they're always ripping and running around. And I know that, when you're a kid, it feels like time is just so short. Like, I do not have time to take a bath because I have to do this, and this on the play schedule. And if bath time is playtime, then that helps in so many ways. So I love this idea, and I hope to see it soon. I hope to see it incorporated in Shelby County schools. I'm really glad that they bought in too, because you said all these other places and then Shelby County schools. I'm thinking Shelby County was first.
Everybody else came aboard earlier.
Okay.
And so we just got a chance to make a presentation to the Shelby County School. This, it's been so difficult trying to get into the school system because of the pandemic, and there's so much going on with the kids. They're not sure if especially last year, they wasn't sure if they were going to have kids in school, out of school, especially for this year. So, but yeah, we just got a chance to make the presentation.
Well, that's amazing. I think I have one final question, and it goes along a little bit with, you talked a little about your experience with the district mural program. And I just, I just want to touch on it. 3 different programs within UAC that we've been able to partner with you. Movable Collection that we're here for tonight. District mural program where you got to fly to Philadelphia to see the masters do it, and then come home and bring it here and show off your skill set. And so I wanted to show this picture of your Mitchell Community Center mural. through the district mural program, which I have not gotten to see yet. So I need to get out there. I've been meaning to just take our interactive map on our website and really go through the city like a little treasure map and use it to find all these wonderful installations. But I wanted to ask you the question, what is your why for wanting your work shared in community public centered spaces?
Well, it's kind of like motivational messages. I want to be able to say something with art that when people look at it, it makes them think. And hopefully, and I'm just going to put in a commercial for the I'll say an opportunity to create some different types of murals. I believe that muralists can create messages in art that will deal with domestic violence, that will deal with poverty, a lot of the plights that we have in our community. And I believe those messages can be put into works of art that are murals. Everybody's not going into the church, so they miss hearing those sermons. A work of art can be just as powerful as a sermon. So I want to be able to create works of art that does that make you really think.
Wow. Well, thank you for sharing. And again, I cannot believe that we're past 6:30 a little bit. Let me go ahead and stop sharing my screen so I can make sure that
hey, can I do a shout out?
Everybody.
I know this ain't no real TV show. Can I do a shout out?
Yes, you can.
I want to tell Lauren, the Walker family loves her.
I wonder if she heard you. I hope she did. She said, "We love you, Larry." Can you see I know you're on your phone. I know you're on here from your phone, so I wasn't sure if you could see the chat.
I couldn't get my computer to act.
No, you've got some fans in the chat.
Larry, I love the whole Walker family back. That's for sure. Thanks so much for sharing your work with the world and with us tonight. You're a treat as always.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. And I will wrap up our first session tonight. Thank you to everyone who joined with us. I will be, of course, we did record this session, so feel free to go back and watch and share it with your family and friends if they were not able to make it. We will be doing another series of, or our next session will be next Thursday. And I guess I should keep sharing my screen so that I can show you guys the flyer for next Thursday. And we will be having artists Maritza Davila and Susan Mockstad with us. And so again, I just want to say thank you to everyone who joined us. And thank you so much, Larry, for just being such a great storyteller and sharing so much of your practice with us and just being such a valuable UAC artist asset, because I can't believe you are in 3 different programs, which to me is amazing and shows that we are really trying to help in all facets of our artists' livelihoods. And so, we can do it without you. And so we are just incredibly grateful to our supporters and to our artist community. So thank you again.
And thank you. You were a great host.
Thank you. I guess I'll start applying for some night host talks. Maybe we can do this as a podcast or something too. The UAC Artist Talk podcast coming soon. So thank you again and good night, everyone. Thank you for joining us.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.